What can a refugee during the late Ming Dynasty do? What, you said rebellion is difficult. What if it fails, what else can we do? Cold mix in short, life and death are indifferent. If the violent soldiers do it, they will either die or become emperors. Keywords of the novel. Laozi wants to be the emperor without pop-ups, Laozi wants to be the emperor. Download the complete text, and Laozi wants to be the emperor. Read the latest chapters. Chapter 1. Thieves by the People. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 2. Soldiers as Thieves. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 3. Murder by Borrowing a Knife. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 4. Rogue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 5. Attacks of Officers and Soldiers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 6. Meeting on a Narrow Path. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Meeting on a Narrow Path 50 miles west of Yang City in Ruzhou, in Huangzhuang, Luo Zhixue looked at more than 100 officers, cavalry, and at least 2,000 infantry guarding the main road ahead. His eyes showed suspicion. If it were just these officers and soldiers in the front, Luo Zhixue wouldn't have been like this, but there were still hundreds of officers and cavalry chasing closely behind them in the first 4 or 5 miles. This has interception in the front and pursuers in the back. Sun Jianli and Li Tonglin, who were in front of Luo Zhixue, also had unpleasant expressions. They didn't expect that after abandoning the refugees and evacuating, their group was still blocked by the officers and soldiers. They quickly evacuated westward from the Yiyang area 3 days ago, and after walking for a day, they heard that the officers and soldiers from Yongning in front also dispatched elite cavalry to surround them. In order to avoid being sandwiched before and after, Li Tonglin decisively turned south with them and headed toward Song County. However, they also have no plans to go to Song County. They are preparing to leave Hunan Prefecture and enter the territory of Ruzhou, and then choose the opportunity to enter the areas of Nanyang, Xiangyang, and Yunyang. Nowadays, there are a large number of main forces of the rebel army in the northern and southern regions of Chu, and the situation there is even more chaotic, which is more suitable for these small-scale rebels to fish in troubled waters. We crossed mountains and mountains all the way into the Yiyang territory of Ruzhou, but before they could catch their breath, we found that there was an official army intercepting us ahead. What should we do? Someone couldn't help but look at Li Tonglin and asked. Li Tonglin didn't speak, but was lost in thought. On the other hand, the others on the side began to speak one after another. If you ask me, let's just rush over. Although there are many of them, I don't believe they can stop us, 100 or so people. They are guarding the main path, but if we rush over directly, we are seeking our own death. What are you afraid of? This front is not a city wall, not even a valley. Can they still stop us if we rush over directly in armor? At this moment, Li Tonglin looked left and right, and finally turned to Luo Zhixue, saying, Mr. Luo, what should I do in your opinion? During his escape in the past few days, Li Tonglin has repeatedly inquired about Luo Zhixue's military strategy. On the one hand, it was for comparison, and on the other hand, he really wanted to hear Luo Zhixue's opinion. After a moment of contemplation, Luo Zhixue realized, facing the enemy and guarding the main road, although our soldiers are brave and powerful, it may not be easy to break through. A slight mistake can lead to casualties. However, hundreds of enemy cavalry are chasing us from behind, and we cannot delay this time. We cannot be entangled by them. The only solution now is to quickly detour. What's there to think about? More than 2,000 officers and soldiers are blocking the way in the front, and at least 300 officers and cavalry are chasing after them in the back. Anyone who is not a fool will take a detour at this moment, a person said. The officers and soldiers in front have cavalry. If we go around to the side, what will happen if their cavalry rushes over? Luo Zhixue immediately said, it's a life and death struggle. No matter how hard they fight, it is stronger than breaking through the path guarded by more than 1,000 officers and soldiers, and even stronger than turning back to confront the elite cavalry under the command of hundreds of left Liangyu. When Li Tonglin and Luo Zhixue were discussing, a group of officers and soldiers on the official road ahead were also on standby. Among the officers and soldiers, several civil servants and most of the generals stood on horseback. One of the leading fourth-rank civil servants in red robes seemed to be in a good mood. It seems that the message from the left general is correct. These bandits will indeed come to our Yang. Now, we have blocked them. As long as we wait for the pursuit of the left general, we can completely annihilate this group of bandits. A few officials on the side also nodded and bowed, saying, we can block the bandit army here, or we rely on Tan Zhen's wise opinion to guard you. If you hadn't led us to send troops, we could have blocked these bandit armies there. There aren't many bandit armies ahead, only 100 or so people. It must be very easy to fight. If we eliminate them by then, it will be a military achievement. In the future, guarding and suppressing bandits will be promoted, but don't forget us. But while they were speaking, they noticed that the bandit army in front had moved. At first, they thought they were going to forcefully charge over and flee, but they didn't expect these people to turn around and leave. Li Tonglin followed Luo Zhixue's advice and chose a detour. Right Counselor Tan Jingling also saw this scene and immediately exclaimed in a loud voice, the bandit army is timid and wants to intercept it. What do you think? Someone immediately replied, Tan Zhen is a wise defender. The bandit army is only 100 or so, and it is a mob. If intercepted, it can easily defeat the enemy. Chen Jibang, the commanding officer on the side, was thinking in his heart. A mob. Didn't you see that everyone else is a water-filled elite cavalry? If you rush out and try to intercept them, it's possible that Tan Jingling will have to be chopped into meat. These bandits may seem to be dressed in a mess, without a proper appearance, but when you open your eyes, at least half of them are armored. The most crucial thing is that these people may appear to be in a scattered formation, but they have rules for moving forward and backward. Anyone who is not a fool can tell that this group of bandit cavalry is definitely not an ordinary refugee bandit army. Even after plundering mules and horses, ordinary refugees and bandits can only ride a horse if they survive. And the bandit cavalry in front of us, many of whom are dressed in armor and strictly prohibited, can be seen as serious cavalry at first glance. Chen Jibang pondered that these bandit cavalry were most likely from the rebel background of the border army. Otherwise, without this military quality, it would be difficult to fight if it really started. Chen Jibang could guess the identity of Li Tonglin and his group with just one glance. But Tan Jingling on the side clearly couldn't see it. At this moment, he only heard him look at Chen Jibang and say, General Chen, how about sending elite cavalry to intercept? Upon hearing these words, Chen Jibang became even more displeased. This may seem like an inquiry or discussion, but there is an undeniable tone in it. This bastard, under the guise of discussion, directly gives orders to him. Chen Jibang was stationed in Ruzhou, but together with Zhuo Liangyu stationed in Xingqi and Xianan, and Chen Yongfu stationed in Nanyang, he was the main military commander of the local resistance army in Hunan. When the Hunan army was suppressing bandits in Hunan, his name was basically missing from the documents submitted to the court. And what about Tan Jingling? I used to be just a remote governor in Guizhou, and I don't know who I went through and how much money I spent. I was transferred to Hunan as a right counselor and sent by Yuan Mo to guard Ruzhou. Moreover, although this person is guarding Ruzhou, he can only control the local military strength in Ruzhou and has no control over generals such as Chen Jibang, the main force of the Hunan government army. Chen Jibang's immediate superior was Yuan Mo, the governor of Hunan. According to this situation, Tan Jingling cannot control Chen Jibang. But right. Chen Jibang is a military general, while Tan Jingling is a civil servant. Regardless of his rank or military strength, whether Chen Jibang belongs to Tan Jingling's control or not, Chen Jibang, as a military general, naturally dwarfs Tan Jingling, a civil servant. You can tell from Tan Jingling's tone that he ordered directly, not discussed. However, Chen Jibang still lowered his head slightly and said, "What Tan Jinsho said is quite true. Since the bandit army has arrived in our Ruzhou, we naturally cannot let them run away. If I reject Tan Jingling's proposal and let this group of bandits run away, I'm not sure if Tan Jingling will come back and participate in a book for me." And it was Zhuo Liangyu who sent someone to intercept this group of bandits. If I let this group of bandits run away directly, I'm sure Zhuo Liangyu behind me would also be unhappy. Even if Chen Jibang disregards Tan Jingling's face, he still has to consider Zhuo Liangyu's face. Immediately, Chen Jibang ordered a guerrilla general under his command to lead cavalry and prepare to intercept and pursue. Chen Jibang sent over 100 elite cavalry under his command to intercept the enemy first, and then personally led over 1,000 infantry to advance, accompanied by over 1,000 soldiers from the local garrison in Ruzhou. The intention of the officers and soldiers to intercept did not surprise Luo Zhixue. The officers and soldiers on the opposite side had not easily blocked them, so naturally they would not easily escape. As the official army dispatched cavalry to intercept, Li Tonglin looked suspicious and said, "Their distance is too close. This village is surrounded by mountains and forests, so don't go there. If you want to bypass it, you may have to fight." Sun Jianli said, "If you fight, fight. Since they insist on intercepting us, then let's fight a bloody path. No matter what, it's better than turning around. They still have hundreds of cavalry from Zhuo Liangyu behind their buttocks." Li Tonglin looked at Luo Zhixue and said, "Mr. Luo, what do you think?" Luo Zhixue also had a suspicious expression on his face, without any unnecessary nonsense, and only said, "The brave win when meeting on a narrow road. This hard break is not feasible, and turning around and running is also not feasible. Both sides of Huangzhuang are also mountains, with no way to go. The only solution now is to bypass Huangzhuang and charge directly from the nearby wilderness. If the official army comes out to intercept, there is no good way, it can only be forced to break through." Li Tonglin nodded slightly at this moment, then pulled out his waist knife and raised it high. He rode his horse back through the queue, shouting loudly, "Brothers, those officers and soldiers who were beaten 1,000 times want to stop us and save our lives. Do you think we can agree? My life belongs to me. Even if God wants to take it away, I must first ask if I agree to the knife in my hand. Brothers, please follow me closely later. As long as we don't separate, they won't be able to stop us. It's just a group of Weisua soft-footed shrimp. When we were playing with the Tatars on the grassland, they hadn't laid any eggs yet. We're pinning our heads on our waistbands, rushing up and playing with them, they still have to be scared to pee." Li Tonglin rode his horse repeatedly through the queue, shouting various chaotic words in his mouth. Although the words were rough, the group of bandit cavalry were all excited and howling after listening. "Hurry up and take out those who have no eggs. Kill me." After boosting morale a while ago, Li Tonglin returned to the front of the queue and was with Sun Jianli, Luo Zhixue, and others. At this point, Li Tonglin no longer had the excitement and indignation he had when boosting morale before, but had a calm expression on his face. The queue continued to gallop forward, and the cavalry of the official army also rushed out. At this moment, there was an angle of about 100 degrees between the two sides, and due to the close distance between them, Luo Zhixue and his cavalry were almost unable to avoid this officer and cavalry when attempting to charge over. The distance between the two sides is only a few hundred meters left. At this moment, Luo Zhixue was riding a horse in the middle of the queue, holding the reins in one hand and a knife in the other. On its side is a mare, with Lin Au sitting directly on the saddle with a rope, and the reins of the mare are tied to the saddle of Luo Zhixue's warhorse. Luo Zhixue whispered, "Ah fish, sit still." Lin Au let out a low hum. At this moment, Luo Zhixue raised his head and saw that Li Tonglin in front had already raised his waist knife high. About a few seconds later, he swung his waist knife fiercely forward and shouted, "Charge over." At the same time, the soldiers around him also sounded the urgent horn. This is the horn of charge. In the next moment, more than 100 bandit cavalry rushed towards the official cavalry ahead like a tide. After seeing the enemy cavalry accelerate, the official cavalry quickly reacted and also accelerated to try to intercept, with a very clear target, which was the most prominent leader of the enemy army such as Li Tonglin. Soon, the cavalry from both sides collided. Luo Zhixue disregarded everything and galloped like everyone else. Their goal is not really to fight against the officers and soldiers, but to charge over. As long as they charge over, they can survive. As he galloped on horseback, Luo Zhixue looked up to the left and observed the situation. However, he saw a group of officers, soldiers, and cavalry rushing towards the vicinity of Li Tonglin, and Li Tonglin's situation seemed to be not very good. The official cavalry had already repelled several of Li Tonglin's personal guards. Li Tonglin seemed to be about to turn his horse and retreat, but one of the official cavalry caught up in time and swing a knife towards Li Tonglin's warhorse connection. After being injured, Li Tonglin's warhorse ran for several steps and collapsed with a loud crash. Li Tonglin, dressed in heavy armor, fell from the galloping warhorse and was only a few seconds later trampled by multiple official army warhorses. Li Tonglin, dead. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Headless Dragons. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 8. Planning to seize the throne. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 9. The general situation of the world. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator. Chapter 10. Unknowingly sharp. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This translator is experiencing an error, please try another translator.